Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we're doing a quick video looking at the importance of starts in the NHL. We'll look at how important the first 4 games are for some teams who start undefeated, on a point streak, or winless. We'll get to all the updates regarding these things coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey Channel. Now before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do it without all of you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And don't forget to stay tuned for videos coming out in the very near future. Now, I've always seemed to be fascinating that a lot of people say that teams can recover from slow starts. And that's true. Teams can recover from slow starts. But I think to say that a start is unimportant is not the case. I've looked back. I've always done this over the past couple of years, never really posted anything about it. I think I might have done 1 or 2 blog posts or YouTube videos about it, but I always look at teams' first 4 game starts to start a season, if they start out winless, on a point streak, or if they are undefeated. I also look at the teams at the 10 game mark and at the 20 game mark and at the 40 game mark and see how the starts really shape up to how they finish at the end of the season. So I'm going to have a couple more videos coming out like this one, probably in a couple of weeks time talking about the 10 game mark, probably in a couple of weeks time after that talking about the 20 game mark, probably maybe I think it'll be around the December-January area talking about the halfway mark. So we'll talk about all these other things. I want to start here because all the teams now played 4 games by looking at each team's 4 game mark stats. Now, for teams who start a season 4-0 in the NHL over the past 5 years. So that's from the 2020-2021 to the last year, 2024-2025. Teams who have started with a 4-0 record after their first 4 games in the NHL wind up making the playoffs 13 out of 16 times. There have been 16 teams over the last 5 years to start 4-0. Only 3 teams missed. That was the 2021 Dallas Stars, the 2022 San Jose Sharks, and last year's Calgary Flames. Those 3 teams all started with at least a 4-0 record and all missed the playoffs. So you can see why there's a really good emphasis that if you start 4-0, you're almost guaranteed a playoff spot. Now if you look at it a little bit further backwards, in the last 10 years, so from 2014-15 to 24-25, excluding the 19-20 season, which was postponed due to COVID, so excluding that season, over the past 10 years, if you start on a 4-0 win streak to begin the season, there have been 22 teams who do so. 17 made the playoffs. Only those 3 that we mentioned earlier, plus the 2016 Montreal Canadiens and 2017 Vancouver Canucks missed the playoffs. So once again, it's not a guarantee, but if you start on a 4-0 record at the very beginning of the season, there's a very likely chance that you make the playoffs. Like only 5 teams out of 22 over the past 10 years have missed it. So you're running it around like an 8% chance for teams who start out 4-0 to make the playoffs. This year we only had 1 team, that's the Carolina Hurricanes. So at this point, especially with the way Carolina's playing, they're almost a playoff lock if you look at the stats from over this past little while. If you look at point streak, so teams who begin the season not on a win streak, but on a point streak after at least the 4 game mark. Over the past 5 years, there have been 16 teams, just like in the win column, 16 teams who start out on a point streak, and only 10 of them have made the playoffs. So it's a little bit more 50-50 if you start on a 4 game point streak. So it's about 62.5% over the past 5 years of teams who start on a 4 game point streak to actually make the playoffs by the end of the season. If you go back to 10 years, so once again 14-15 to 24-25, there were 31 teams in that time frame who started the season with a 4 game point streak. 19 of them made the playoffs. So once again, it's not as clear cut as if you had started on a winning streak that you'll be able to make the playoffs, but still, it's an above average chance that if you start out on a point streak to begin the season, you probably will wind up making the playoffs. There are 3 teams this year who start out on a point streak to begin the season. That's the Colorado Avalanche, who are 4-0-1, the Golden Knights, who at the recording of this video are 3-0-2, and the one that looks not like the others, the Seattle Kraken, who are 2-0-2. Like, that is insane. But the Golden Knights, the Kraken, and the Avalanche have all started with 4+ game point streaks. And I think with these stats, you can basically say maybe 2 of them will make the playoffs, 1 of them will miss. I think you can expect 2 will probably wind up making the playoffs. But still, it's very interesting to note there. The teams who start with point streaks, a lot of teams do wind up making it, but it's not as good of an indication of making the playoffs as a win streak. And lastly, going over to winless teams. A team who starts out winless in their first 4 games of NHL action to begin the season. Over the past 5 years, it happened 12 times. Over the past 10 years, it happened 24 4 times. So you can see it usually happens between 2 or 3 times a year that a team starts winless in their first 4 games. Usually happens 2 or 3 times a year. And out of those 12 times in the last 5 years, only one team started 0-4-0 or at least on a 4-game losing streak and made the playoffs. That was actually last year's Avalanche. You started 0-4-0 and still wound up making the playoffs. And over the past 10 years, only 3 out of the 24 teams that we just mentioned have wound up making the playoffs after starting with a 4-game losing streak to begin the season. That was both the 2016 and the 2017 Anaheim Ducks, along with the 2025 Colorado Avalanche. So very interesting note there. But if you start with a 4-game losing streak to begin the season, you're almost guaranteed to miss the playoffs. And so far, I don't think there's actually any team who started the season 0-4-0 this year, which is why this stat's a little bit irrelevant. The Sharks, if they lose against the Mammoth tonight, would be the only team who winds up starting the season with a 4-game losing streak. But besides that, it's very interesting out there. It wasn't as significant to do this sort of video as it was in years past because we only had 1 undefeated team, 3 teams on point streaks to begin the season, and potentially 1 team who has not won a game to start the season and their first 4 games. So once again, this is a little more of an irrelevant stat at this point in time. I think the one that's at the 10-game mark will be a little more relevant, so definitely don't forget to stay tuned for that. That'll come out in the next couple of weeks. But just to let you guys know, 4-game starts are important. Teams who win 4-game win streaks almost always make the playoffs. Teams who start the season on a 4-game losing streak almost always lose the playoffs. And teams who start the season on a 4-game point streak have a pretty good chance of making the playoffs by the end of the season. So definitely have your guys' thoughts on all of this down in the comment section below. Do you think there's any importance in the start of the season, first 4 games? And if you do you think Carolina's bound to make the playoffs? Do you think any one of Vegas, Colorado, or Seattle are bound to make the playoffs? And do you think San Jose, if they lose tonight, are bound to miss the playoffs? Definitely have your thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. That's all I'm going to talk for today. We're going to like this video. If you'd like to subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this with all of you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Don't forget to stay tuned for videos coming out in the very near future. I also have a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So check that out. I'll link to that in the description below. Can't wait to see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.